Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Morning Live. My name is Vusiwe Ngcobo for the Sports Desk. Now, the Men's Soccer World Cup is one of the biggest sporting events in the world of sports, attracting billions of viewers whenever it does come around every 4 years. South Africa have hosted this global showpiece back in 2010, and from the 20th of November, Qatar will have its turn to play host to the ever-growing soccer fraternity. SABC will, of course, be bringing you the latest from Qatar, and to talk to us about SABC's offering, we have Merlin Naicker, who is the Group Executive for Video and Entertainment. Good morning, Merlin. Thank you so much for joining us on Sports on Morning Live.
Good morning. Thanks for being here.
It's such an amazing time to be alive as a lover of football. Let's talk about what SABC will be offering during this World Cup, because for so many people sitting at home, their first experience of the World Cup was through the SABC platform.
So we'll be covering 28 matches from the 20th of November right until the final match on the 18th of December.
And perhaps, Merlin, just talk to us about someone sitting at home and they're thinking to themselves, 28 matches over the period of the World Cup, where can we catch these matches? Is it on SABC 1, 2 or 3? Is it on the sports channel? Will it be on the radio stations? Where exactly do they go to get this content?
It will be broadcast across all of our platforms. So the 28 games will be covered on SABC Sport, and 19 games will be covered on SABC 1, 6 on SABC 2, 3 on SABC 3, just based on the times of the games and how we can juggle our schedules around. All 64 games will be broadcast on the radio platform. 28 of those will be live. The other 34 will be highlights that will be covered. And we're looking to launch an OTT offering or digital offering so that consumers can catch that on the go wherever they are.
Let's talk about how important it is for the SABC to bring this World Cup to the people of South Africa, and continuing with the tradition we've seen over the years in every single World Cup of people being able to switch to SABC for the spectacular showpiece.
Well, the SABC has a mandate to cover certain sporting events, and this is one of those that we feel is of national interest. It's a World Cup event, so we really went out hard to get the rights for this, and we're working hard with advertisers and sponsors to really bring this to fruition on the 20th of November. It's important for us to cover such events and allow our audiences to be a part of the world as well, and also experience these global sporting events.
Merlin, you speak so nicely about the SABC and its mandate to the people of South Africa. How important is it that people will be able to get this World Cup in their own language when they tune into any of the SABC radio stations?
Absolutely critical. So we will broadcast all of the games that we have rights to in the local languages. Radio 2000 is going to be our primary broadcast partner from that perspective, and the other 19 radio stations will also cover in various languages.
We look at a football World Cup and we know that it's about so much more than what happens on the field of play in every single encounter, but it's also an educational tool and a platform for a country to promote itself. So outside of the games that we will be watching, the 28 that you've mentioned, what else will this World Cup bring with it in terms of what we can watch on television when it comes to what's happening in Qatar?
So we have an exciting program called The Road to Qatar, which will broadcast from the 14th of November. And up until the World Cup, it will focus on culture, aspects of living in Qatar, all of the preparations that's happening in the events that will be happening in and around the World Cup. So that will be broadcast every morning on SABC 1 as well as the sports channel, to really allow audiences to get a sense and a feel of what's happening on the ground.
And when you speak about that Good Morning Qatar, you say we'll get a feel of what's happening in Qatar. Are you able to tell us at this moment the talent that will be involved in that production?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Keep that under wraps until
it's still under wraps until the official announcement is made.
But we do have South African talent on the ground in Qatar.
And I think, Merlin, something else which is very exciting, so often people will just take the feed of what comes from the World Cup, but with SABC and SABC Sport, you bring in your own talent, your own pool of analysts. Talk to us about why that is important and what different elements it brings from an SABC perspective.
So the World Cup event is broadcast from a FIFA perspective through what is called host broadcast services. So all countries get the same feed effectively of the live play. What we've done is we've brought in a really stellar South African commentary team, which includes very famous soccer players and analysts and coaches as well. So we have the likes of Aaron Mokoena, Dr. Kumalo, Delron Buckley. We also have Desiree Ellis, Simpiwe Tludlu coming in. And these are people who have experience in World Cup events, so they can really recount their experiences from their time at being at the World Cup, and from a coaching perspective as well, you know, to give you a perspective of what the players may be going through and recounting their experiences from their World Cup events. So it becomes a very local and relevant experience to our audiences.
You spoke earlier, Merlin, about having worked so hard to obtain the right to show us this World Cup. Perhaps just talk us through about what your projections have shown you in terms of whether you'll be able to break even once this World Cup event is done. Because, you know, as taxpayers sitting at home, everyone wants to know, where is our money going? Is there going to be a break even? Is there going to be a loss incurred? What have you seen so far in terms of what your research has shown you in that regard?
So there's a huge appetite from advertisers. The SABC on a daily basis reaches more than 20 million people with their TV platform. So advertisers definitely want a share of that. In terms of where we are in breaking even, we're probably about 80% of the way in terms of covering our costs. The balance obviously comes in with the live broadcast, so what we call classical airtime is available. So those packages are still available. Advertisers out there, please get in touch with our sales teams. We're waiting for your call.
And are you also going to have any special content for sale during this World Cup?
So we'll have the 19 games, the coverage on the 19 radio stations. We'll have coverage on all of our terrestrial channels, our sport channel. We're looking at a digital offering as well. Once we finalize the sort of OTT platform that we'd like to bring to life for the World Cup, then we can start to add a whole lot more content on there, because we're not restricted by airtime in that space. So we'll start to bring back some of the previous World Cups, nostalgic kind of moments and that. So that's what we're working on in the background.
Well, Merlin, we certainly do look forward to it. 28 games being broadcast by SABC. Hashtag Sisonke.
Sisonke.
We are all together in this. This was, of course, my discussion with Merlin Naicker, who is the Group Executive for Video and Entertainment here at the SABC, talking all things about the FIFA World Cup. It does kick off on the 20th of November until the 18th of December, and SABC will be bringing you a total of 28 games, and of course all 64 will be live on your radio stations.